Hi, you're listening to Beyond Profits, a podcast by 117 Capital, where we explore the principles, ethics, and impact behind truly sustainable business. In a world driven by profit margins, we are shifting the conversation, diving into value-based leadership, non-interest finance, and the evolving role of ethical investing. Rooted in the spirit of Islamic finance, Beyond Profits is where ethics meets finance, where purpose meets performance, and where values drive ventures. Each episode, we engage with leading voices across various industries, discussing how non-interest finance principles and frameworks are reshaping sustainable business growth, empowering communities, and redefining wealth. Whether you are an entrepreneur, investor, or future leader, this space is for you. Because at 117 Capital, we believe that profits is just the beginning. The true measure of success lies in what we build beyond profits.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond Profits. I'm your host, Imran Musa, and together with me is a phenomenal, a person who is great in the pension world. Together with me is Mr. Zakari Amadou. He is a business development officer, a business manager, someone who understands finance to the nitty-gritties. He has experience, about a decade experience in the pension industry, and he was the first person to actually manage Halal pensions. I'm sure a lot of you don't know something like that exists. So he was the first person to manage Halal pensions in Nigeria. So we are at the right place because today we want to discuss retirement, pension, what it is, how it works. So stay with us. Good day, Mr. Zakari.
Hello, Imran.
Hope you're comfortable with us.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Very well.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive straight in.
All
right. We all work and one day we're going to retire. And people want to know, okay, when I retire, what happens? You see a lot of people panic and all of that. And then someone says, no, pensions cover. So I met somebody and they said they don't know what a pension is. So that's the first thing. What's even pensions?
Okay, thank you very much for having me on our show. It's been a journey. So for pensions, I've been opportunity to work in the PFA space for a long time, like you said, and we've pushed and managed to get some things passed through the National Pension Commission. So basically, for everybody, pensions is a source of income when you retire. For individuals like us, that are salary earners, Mboko, when you are receiving monthly income, that is what you use to live your life, pay school fees and everything else. What happens when you retire? No more income. In the past, before 2005, there was something called the defined pension scheme. Wherever you work, the employer must pay you your emoluments even after retirement. So let's say, for example, you're earning 10,000 naira a month, you retire, you're supposed to keep earning that 10,000 naira every month until you pass away. So what happened is the federal government got pension liabilities in trillions of naira and they could no longer cover. That's why when we're growing up, you see NTA news, people lining up for pension verifications, old people, some even passing away. So President Obasanjo introduced the contributory pension scheme, where you will, as the worker, you will contribute something and the employer will contribute something. This way, the weight reduces on the employer. So you, as a worker now, you are supposed to contribute 8% of anything you receive every month into your pot of pensions. Your employer will give 10% more than you, making it 18% every month. That money is supposed to be invested by the pension administration company. The investment plus your every month you'll be adding that 18% will make up a big pot so that when you retire with a 10 million, 20 million, 30 million at the age of 60. And that savings that you have now, you will now be tapping from it and earning an income every month. Basically, that's what pension is in Nigeria. It's contributory in nature and it's supposed to help you feed and live your life after you retire.
This system, is it the same for government and private institutions?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So in the past, it was different, the defined pension schemes, but now everybody must pay the same thing. If you have, in fact, for private sector, if you have a minimum number of 3 staff in your company, if you are a car wash and you have 3 staff, you are supposed to open pensions and contribute for individuals. Yeah, so for government, for individuals, everything is the same thing. The only difference now is, I mentioned car wash. There's something that was introduced for informal workers. So a car wash will say, I'm informal. A person that owns a bakery can claim informality, but at the same time is an established company. He needs a CAC. You might need an accountant. You will need people that handle marketing. You need sales drivers. So that one is formal. If you are a bakery, you must do it for your staff through your accounts. If you are a akara seller, a mechanic, other people that are not in the formal sector, what happens to them when they are no longer able to work physically? You can't go to the farm. You can't do anything. What happens? Do you become a burden on society or not? So the National Pension Commission a few years ago introduced micro pensions. That is the only pension that is different from the contributory. Contributory, to answer your question, for private sector and for government is the same. 8%, 10%. Some employers, out of the goodness of their heart, might do more than 10% from their pocket. Some do up to 20%. So that the final contribution for you is 28%,
8%.
30%. But for people that are in the informal sector, what happens to them? Pencom said, let them also benefit from something like this. They created something called micro pensions, where me as a mechanic, I can contribute, open a pensions account and contribute my 1,000 naira every month or every day. And so that when I retire in 15, 20 years,
You have
God bless you,
the
I'll be
same
part of the
benefits,
formal
yes,
sector and I can at least earn something
and
and eat.
some.
Yes.
That's a very good one, and it's something that individuals, whether you are working as a corporate officer, salary earner, or you're in the business space, because a lot of people actually do not know that people who are in the business space, not in the formal sector, can actually have pensions. They think it's just the 9 to 5 people. So you meet somebody that's retired, he'll say, I didn't really work a 9 to 5, I don't have pensions, all those things. So I'll come into the next question, which is what I mentioned about your experience handling halal pensions. And halal pensions, they exist. That's the first thing. But the key that I want us to hold on to is finance generally in Nigeria. A lot of people, especially those who are of Muslim faith, have found hard to accept in the early inception because a lot of things were interest based. So pensions generally, since there's a halal pension, means that not all pensions fit the faith of the Muslims. So run us through what type of pensions fits the Muslim faith.
Okay. So to step back a little bit, I've explained what pension is. I've explained how pension works. You contribute, your employer contributes, and then it is invested. So you're asking me, how is it invested? If
Yes.
that investment aligns with the Islamic faith. Okay. So a pension fund administrator is a company that manages these contributions that you make every month. So the pension fund administrator is regulated by National Pension Commission, and its primary work is to keep safe the funds of retirees and then ensure that it grows. So how it grows means it must do investments, and its investments are not really, they don't really bother about, or their number one priority is not your faith. Their number one priority is to make sure when you retire, you have funds. That was how it was established. But because the public cried out, especially people that did not want certain kinds of investment, they didn't want investments in breweries, in pornography, in weaponry, anything that would damage society. A lot of people did not even open accounts. I have a client that we are pursuing for 15 years. He worked in Hajj Commission. He refused to open an account because his problem was the growth in his savings was going to be interest. That's number one. Your pension savings with the PFA is going to be invested in bonds, in T-bills, in stocks, in anything that will generate income. It doesn't necessarily have to be Sharia compliant. So because of this problem, again, around 2019, 2020, PENCOM introduced the Halal Fund for people that want ethical investment, number one, people that want Sharia compliant investment, and people that did not want to do anything with interest. So when the Halal Pension Fund started, it started, I think, in the last day of June, and the very next day, our PFA, where I worked with before, Sigma Pensions, was the very first to start the Halal Pension Scheme. And that man that I told you we were chasing for 15 years, we invited him, said, Oga, come. This thing that we've been pursuing, PENCOM has finally given us green light. We are launching it. Come and launch it with us. And he was the very first individual to sign up for a Halal Pension Scheme. So that fund now is invested in only Sharia compliant instruments, bonds, sukuk, money market, and other, I think even equities. So the equities have to be Sharia screened, and we have to ensure that, yes, these funds are actually halal, so that you now that will put your money in the halal fund will be comfortable that, yes, it is 100% Sharia compliant. So we can dive deeper into how it works and how it doesn't work, but let me not overburden
So
you.
primarily, it is what the money is being used for that is the first determinant of whether that fund is Sharia compliant or not.
Yes, what the money is used for. So the principles of Sharia or Islamic finance says you must not do any harm, you must not eat, you must not consume interest. That's money for money. The funds you have must actually work, and then you will share the benefit with whoever is your partner in the process. So for the different Islamic contracts, we have Mudaraba, Musharaka, Wakala. So Wakala is what the PFAs use. Wakala means you are an agent. So the PFA acts as an agent for you, the pensioner or the pension contributor. They will do the investment on your behalf, and for that they will earn a percentage. I think it was 5% when I was still there. Anything that you generate, they get a 5% as their fee, while 95% goes back into your pensions account as the pension holder. They must not invest in anything that falls outside Sharia compliance. But unfortunately, again, in Nigeria, because we don't have a lot of Islamic finance instruments, you will see that there is a lot more funds than where to place them. So that is another challenge that PFAs are dealing with. And I know 117 Capital and other asset management companies and players in the capital market are trying hard to bring out instruments like the FGN Sukuk that was just issued. I know a lot of PFAs will go for that. The Taj Bank Sukuk that is now open, a lot of PFAs will go for that. So when we create more instruments for individuals, PFAs will come and they will invest in it. There is liquidity in the PFA space. They are looking for where to actually invest people's monies so that they can open up and tell people, okay, bring your funds into the Halal fund. We actually have places to put them. Mm-hmm. So that's another problem. The market is there. Individuals that want it exist. But where do they put those monies that will enable it to be 100% Sharia compliant is another challenge. So 117 Capital and the other asset management companies or capital market players have opportunities for growth, basically.
Now, before we wrap up, the PFAs, these pension funds, because you said invest, can you not crash?
Crash like everything we see on TV?
Yes.
Okay. So for PFA investments, it is very, very strictly regulated by the commission. It tells them how much they can invest. where they can invest it, and how they have to report the investment. So it is very, very, very strict. And most of PFA investments are in federal government bonds. They're federal government bonds. In the sharia-compliant fund now, and Fund 6, it is mostly in sukuks. So it doesn't crash. That's why you see pension assets are now worth over 25 trillion naira. So it just keeps growing. Yes. And the fail safes that have been put in there by the commission, and there's an organization, an umbrella body called Pension Operators, PENOP, Organization of Pension Operators. They also help in putting strictures and guidelines so that customers' funds or pension funds are very safe. So their investment don't crash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question. I know I said I was always going to wrap. Another question. You've spoken about pension. Some people work in, moderate income offices. I've worked for my 30 years. I retire. I've gotten 6 million naira as pension. I'm 60. God allows me live till 90. So in real sense, is pension enough for retirement planning?
That is a very practical question. So let me give you an example. I used to work in a branch up north. When I started, I was shocked at the amount that a senior, let's say when police were with us, a senior police officer or federal government officer would come after 35 years with 4 million naira saved for pensions. So back then, the exchange rate was better. But at the same time, 4 million naira for somebody that was receiving 100 or 150,000 naira a month. If you do the permutation, that 4 million naira is supposed to be split into monthly payments for the next 20 years. So if you do the calculation, 4 million naira divided by 20 years at a growth rate of 8%, a minimum growth rate of 8%, you will see the individual will not take 50% of what he is used to as salary. So yes, pensions was not enough for some people. What helped was what we called additional voluntary contributions. If you are contributing 10,000, and in 20 years, your 10,000 is going to be a balance of 10 million naira. What is the value of, what will 10 million naira buy for you now compared with what 10 million naira will buy for you in 20 years? Do the calculation, take into account inflation. If 10 million naira will buy a 3-bedroom flat for you in 1980, what will it buy for you now? What will it buy for you in 2040? So if you do the calculation, is really not enough. You have to take steps to build wealth outside pensions. Leave pensions. Pensions is passive. So when we come to wealth management now, or building wealth, you should have different baskets of things that are generating income for you. So pension, if me and you are working, or you have worked with federal government or state governments, you can't touch your pensions. Pension is outside your control. Before you receive your salary, 8% is deducted and given to one company to manage for you. That is by design. What will you do on your own to create another plan so that pensions will be your fallback to? You need to start creating wealth. You need to start making investments. You need to have a plan, first of all. Do you have a financial plan? Do you have financial intelligence or knowledge? Do you have, I saw your video on Instagram, how many accounts you need to have.
First, the 3 account system, yeah.
Personal finance. Do you have all those in place? Then you'll say, okay, I need to even start growing my wealth. I don't have anything. How do I ensure I can move from where I am now, where I'm running around to pay my children's school fees, to where I have a system where I save 5K a month in an investment account with a 117 or with a Lotus.
Yes.
So I can save
mutual funds, for example.
Like a mutual fund. So I know this mutual fund will give me X amount. I'll start saving, because building wealth is a slow process. Never say I don't have enough money to start until I hammer. I can do 100 million. With your 5,000, 10,000, start something, build it up where you don't need to spend 100% of your income for school fees. for medical, for rent. You do that one. That's one leg. You now think about, okay, do I need to do any, for Muslims, we call it sadaqah jariyah. Are there any platforms or systems where I can do investment now when I'm alive, and it will keep paying me when I'm not alive?
Yeah.
Perpetually, it just keeps generating.
Like a work.
Like a wakaf. So a wakaf is an endowment. I give 1,500 naira for the next 20 years. My money is used to build a well. My money is used to plant a tree. People are sitting under the tree for the next 100 years. You are receiving benefits. People are using the well, like Sayyidina Uthman. People are using the well, you are getting benefits. And then for individuals now, not like me and you, the bigger boys, that actually have funds that are coming in. Do you have a system that tells you what is zakatable, what is not zakatable? Zakat is the mandatory charity that people with wealth have to give. So do you have a system where you plug in, you know the calculations, you know that, I never reached this level, or I don't reach this level. How much am I supposed to give? Who do I give? How do I give it out? So there are so many different levels to building wealth that when you do this actively, you forget about your pensions. When pension comes, I have customers that say, forget that pension, Zach. That pension is for my children. When I'm not here, I'll focus on myself. At least I know pension will take care of them.
All right, let me just come in here. Still on the pensions, and this is our last question and we close. If now we've spoken about people that the pensions are small, you said 4 million, 5 million. There are people who work in very good organizations, maybe private or government. The big boys, I have 200 million, 300 million in pensions. We would say it's enough, but for somebody who has 300 million in pensions, it means his lifestyle is probably higher as well. And it might not in real sense be enough. So what solution do you give me? Instead of, I'm 60, I don't want to start a new business. I have 200 million in pensions. If I start eating it from now, maybe in 10 years, 5 years, it's finished. So what can I do to ensure my pension actually stays till I pass away?
Okay, let me give you a practical example of one of my clients that had this. He had 300 million. 300 million, he is used to working 9 to 5. He's not a businessman. He doesn't know. He has never tried any business. So Zachary, what do we do now? I am retiring. I'm going to get half of these funds. I can go and try investments and I have to learn it. I might lose it. So what do I do? So my advice is you use, and he was one of my first clients again. He wanted halal pension. He was a Muslim. So with his lump sum payment, we call it lump sum. When you go for retirement, now let me walk you through. They will give you half of your money or 25% of your entire savings, and then the remaining will be used to pay you every month. So they'll give you a gratuity lump sum chunk of money. What do you do with it? That's what you're asking.
Yes.
How do you ensure that money also serves the purpose and not disappear?
Yes.
My advice to him was open a savings account or an investment account. We call it the Mudaraba investment accounts. So open a Mudaraba investment account, put this 100 million in there. This 100 million will run at a targeted profit rate of maybe 15%, 16%, 17% per annum. So 100 million for 1 year at 15%, for example, will give you 15 million, 17, 18 million naira every year. So how much is that in a month? 1 point something million.
Yes.
Good. So the PFA is paying him every month his pensions. This gratuity lump sum he had is locked in a Mudaraba investment account that is generating an extra 1 million naira for him. So he now has 2 sources of income. Whenever he sees a house he wants to buy, somebody wants to sell, he sees opportunity for investment, he can just knock on the door of the company managing the Mudaraba investment account. I need 20 million from my 100. My daughter is getting married. You take out what you want, do the investment or take care of your family while everything else continues. So that was my advice to him, and he's very, very happy because his lump sum is still alive. His lump sum has a job. His lump sum is generating income for him. So he has two sources of income now, one from his Mudaraba investment, the other from the pension fund administrator.
Yeah, and so he's covered.
He's covered.
He's covered.
He's covered. And also, because it's an investment account, the Mudaraba account is an investment account, it is growing, and the PFA is also growing his funds in the Halal fund. So his pension funds, that is 100 and excuse me, that's 150 million now. In 10 years' time, might go back to 300 million. His Mudaraba investment account is 100 million. Even though he's withdrawing, he can say, just pay me 70% of the profit. Leave 30% so that 100 million in 10 years will also grow and become something else.
Yeah, basically similar to something that we offer actually at 117. So thank you very much, Mr. Zachary. We could run through pensions for hours because a lot of people don't really understand this. A lot of people are not harnessing the benefits of having pension and planning for retirement. So thank you very much for coming.
Sorry, lastly, before I go, a lot of people, like you said, they don't know Halal pension exists.
Yes.
So if you have a pension account with a pension fund administrator and you want Halal pensions, you go to the PFA, ask them, I want to move my funds from wherever it is to Halal fund. We call it Fund 6. They will give you a form. You fill in the form and you submit back to them. They will move your funds from wherever it is. There are 6 funds, funds 1 to 6. They will move it from whatever fund it is into Fund 6, and you now know that your funds are being invested in a Sharia way and you don't have any issues. So talk to your PFA, get the form, fill it, and you move your funds to Halal pensions. That's my advice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zachary. Thank you, everybody. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Like and subscribe, share to your friends. This is important information. And that last part, Fund 6, mark the fund, Fund 6. Until we meet again next time, bye.